Howdy! I've been building a pipe organ in my house since 2014, and it's been quite the experience. I've gotten countless hours of entertainment from the project, and I've picked up quite a few skills as well. Recently, it reoccurred to me that I'm probably not the only one who would enjoy following the project, and if that's the case, I'll do my best to take you along for the ride. I have big ambitions as to what I'll do going forward, but who knows where life will lead. In the near future, my plan is to get more and more of the organ playable, and to experiment with new, and hopefully cool, ways to get the most out of the instrument. Before all that, though, I thought it prudent to start from the beginning and tell the tale of the instrument's history. So, after deciding that organs are awesome, and that I wanted to build one in the house, I finally got my first set of pipes at the end of 2014. I say finally here because I spent months researching the inner workings of the pipe organ beforehand. This first set is the 2-foot principle in the picture. I experimented with it and played around with wiring options for about a year. The next year, I acquired a 3-rank Moeller Artiste built in 1969. The 3 ranks of the small Moeller pipe organs, known as Artistes, at least in this version of Artiste, are a unit wooden flute, unified from 16-foot pitch to 2-foot pitch, a unit string, a viola unified from 8-foot pitch to 2-foot pitch, and a diapason at 4-foot pitch. I was hoping to wire the 2-foot principle to the console in addition to the 3 Moeller ranks. Looking back, having just an Artiste with a 2-foot principle would have been quite top-heavy, but it was a good learning exercise at the time. The first time I assembled the Artiste, I did it without the casework because I had to figure out where everything went. All of the pipes on the main wind chest were playable by Halloween that year, so I had fun with it as a Halloween prop. By that point, I was ready to take everything apart and reassemble it with most of the case around it. As I recall, the side panels had a small protrusion on the top that was too tall for the ceiling by about an inch. Luckily, I couldn't find a reason not to cut off the small posts. They didn't do anything, and they aren't even visible when the case is assembled. Here you can see the sticky notes on the keys. These were to mark dead notes so that I could keep track while trying to diagnose and fix them. After a little less than a year of assembling and fixing the Artiste, it was basically fully functional. The 2 remaining problems were the swell shades and inadequate room for expansion. Well, I guess that's only one real problem. I hadn't been able to diagnose the problem with the swell shades. Basically, they were getting power and wind, but were not moving the louvers very much when activated. I know now that the problem was that the glue holding the pneumatic material to the wood shade motors had separated significantly, drastically reducing the pressure and thus the moving force applied to the shades. As far as future expansion was concerned, the Artiste console was built to handle only the Artiste pipework, understandably. No matter how I tried to expand its capability, I just couldn't see my minor expansion to play the 2-foot principle scaling up for future editions. I came to the conclusion that I would need a new control system rather than the old Moeller system, which was only good for 3 unified ranks. And while I was at it, why not a new console entirely? It's funny how easy it is to justify the expansions of creeping bigorism. Speaking of additions, near the end of 2016 I added most of the pipework from a Stevens practice instrument and from a 1920s Hook and Hastings instrument. There's no way that all 17 ranks would have fit in the organ room. Now, there are 2 solutions to this. 1, have a smaller organ, and 2, have a bigger room. I'll let you guess which one I chose. Anyways, I disassembled the Artiste and moved it across the hallway to a slightly larger room. Here, I've positioned the Artiste in front of a proposed chamber space so that the artist's swell shades can be used to put everything behind it under expression. Of course, I would construct a wall to cover the open portions on the right and left of it. At this point, in 2017, I replaced my 3-manual Austin console with a Kimball drawknob console. I've always liked the look of a drawknob console, and I really enjoy the overall aesthetic and the feel of the keyboards. In addition, the Kimball console was built in 1930 and has a rich history. Although I understand the value of the original switching system and the ingenuity of the electropneumatic computer behind the original combination action, keeping the old system was impractical for several reasons. So I carefully removed the pneumatic components and prepared the console to receive a solid-state control system. Until now, I did not actually have wind chests for most of the 17 ranks I had acquired. When I remedied this, I realized that I needed to redraw my room plan yet again. As you'll see, rearranging is a theme in this story. Then, finally, I could start installing the pipework from the Hook and the Stevens instruments. Here's when I first pressurized a section of the organ in the new room. It's quite jerry-rigged, but the level of jerry-rigging goes down significantly as the project progresses. It's worth mentioning that since the time I stopped using the original Artiste console, nothing had been playing. The organ had been completely silent. Here, the Kimball console is being assembled in the room. Shortly after this, knowing that it would be a while before funding allowed me to use a solid-state control system, I wired some of the pipes directly to the console. I used the fact that the Hook and the Stevens pipes were largely on Pitman chests. Here before you is probably the worst wiring job I have ever done. It was temporary, and it wasn't dangerous, but I don't think anyone will give it an award. However, it did allow 5 ranks of the organ to play, which is 5 more than had been playing for about 3 years. I'm sure the astute among you will notice that there is no upper racking on the reed pipes. I didn't know to do this at the time, and for this particular rank, it's still on my to-do list. Well, with a few more winding improvements and installed pipes, there you have it. Part 1 of the instrument's history, up to the end of 2019. If you like this at all, please make sure to come back for Part 2. I'll try to put it out fairly soon.